one of the errors that is prevalent is Sedevacantism, and I want to cover that area. Sedevacantism, which means a vacant seat, or the seat of Peter, which the true pope sits upon, is vacant. There's no question about it. The seat of Peter has been vacant at different times of the church, and is always vacant when a new pope is being elected, after a pope has died or in a conclave. The Sedevacantist line is that there has been no pope since Pope Pius XII. Manifest heresy automatically or ipso facto affects an excommunication for any person in any office, and the church has a right from God to separate itself from a heretical pope, and consequently to apply all the means that are in and of themselves necessary for such a separation. But in the case of the pope, the determination that the person has lost his position would have to be made by the universal church, most probably through the declaration of a general council, or stated by a future pope, before Catholics could arrive at such a conclusion. And you have the example of St. Peter, where he denied our Lord to the point of cursing and blaspheming, but he didn't lose his position. And by the way, also, Padre Pio told John Paul II when he was a priest, he said, one day you'll be pope. Now, he didn't say you'll be a good pope. He just said, you'll be pope one day. That's all he said. So the thing is, that's even a strong indicator in itself that they definitely are wrong. Sedevacantists claim simply there is no pope anywhere, in spite of the fact that there hasn't been anything to keep the real pope from coming out in the open. Most Sedevacantists cannot and do not even try to come up with anyone who may be the pope. Every kind of misdeed. In a word, there is no divine promise that the pope will not be permitted to use his great authority in the most wicked and destructful ways. Such a pope, however, despite all and any manner of unholy action, would not lose his own legitimacy, his all-comprehensive jurisdiction, nor the divine prerogative of infallibility, so that, should an avowed conspirator become the Roman pontiff, were he converted, he might immediately set about repairing the damage he himself had inflicted on the church, without needing to be re-elected, reinstalled, or reconfirmed in his office. Only his private confession, absolution from censure, which means penalty, that he might have incurred would be required. The widespread notion that anyone who incurs ipso facto excommunication is thereby out of the church, no longer a member, and therefore loses all ecclesiastical offices, dignities, etc., is based on a fundamental misconception. Once a Catholic, always a Catholic is a valid principle. A valid excommunication does not mean that the church thereby excludes the person altogether, but the subject may not participate in the life of the church. That is, receive any of the sacraments of the living, or participate in liturgical ceremonies, or take part in church functions, etc. As regard any offices, they are lost through a canonical condemnation only. Loss of an ecclesiastical office occurs immediately upon the declaration of, quote, excommunication and to be avoided by the Pope himself. Obviously, the Supreme Pontiff cannot incur this censure. But at the same time, no one may justifiably blame even an errant Pope for his sins. The failure of any person, even the Pope, to keep God's laws or persevere in his own faith does not excuse any other person for his failure to do the same. And they do not convert, they will most certainly perish. And we know that this is predicted. So the thing is we know this is predicted. Our Lady of La Salette said on September the 19th, 1846, that Rome would lose the faith and become the Antichrist. So the main thing of all these things is to keep the Catholic faith, to uphold what has always been taught.